It's time to go live. We're here. I've got a chat going on right here. This is RockSim Live, by the way. We are here every Friday about this time to talk about RockSim, RockSim Pro, or the Launch Visualizer, and help you design and fly better rockets. My name is Tim Van Milligan. Thank you for coming. And as I said, I've got a chat going on right here because this is live. And we got a couple of people in the house already. We got Carlos from Marietta, Georgia, and David Hayes from Davidson, Michigan. So welcome. And if you're just getting in here, just go ahead and type in your name and where you're watching from so that we can recognize you. Yeah, so this is really cool. Thanks for being here. I'm still getting my computer kind of situated. Yeah, it's coming really close to Memorial Day is next weekend. And I was just deciding if I was going to be here or not. Because I'm going to launch rockets, and it's a 3-day weekend launch, and I don't know if I'm going to leave Friday or Saturday. So we'll find out. If we cancel, then I'll take down the live stream, but otherwise, I'll plan on being here. We're going to launch this weekend as well, so it's going to be a really, it's rocket launching time, and we've been getting some rain. And that's good because then our field is nice and wet and we can have sparky motors. Yeah, so we're doing great. Let's see, what else is going on? Let me show you my screen. Okay, so this is the ApogeeRockets.com website. And if you're brand new to rocketry and you're just watching this for the first time, this is where you get RockSim. You'll click on that banner that said RockSim 11. Sign up for our newsletter too, so that we can give you free stuff. We're going to be we're working on right now we have an offer for a free book of 25 rocket plans, and we're going to up that to 50. So we're going to add 25 more to the book. It's actually volume 2, and so now this will say 50 free rocket plans. And they're all plans that we have published in our newsletter that we do every week. The plans don't come out every week, but we do a newsletter or a video every week. And so when you subscribe, that's what you get. You're always getting good content. Plus, you're going to get those rocket plans all in one spot. But this is RockSim 11. And if you click on that, or if you go to How-To and Guides, and then come down here to Software, and then come over here to RockSim Free Trial, that's where you would download it. This is where you could purchase RockSim, where it says Purchase RockSim 11. RockSim 11 features, what you can do with RockSim. Obviously, we're going to design rockets. The system requirements, version history, what's changing. Right now we're doing RockSim Live training, so if you click on this right here, it will take you to our archives. And we are on episode number 167. And the topic, I don't know what the topic is. I need your help for the topic because I need to get what kind of questions you want answered, because this is an audience-driven live stream. So go ahead and put those in the comments. I see some more people have shown up. We have Low Budget Bob from Buckeye, Arizona. Fat Bank from Texas. No flooding or wind damage. Yeah, I heard that like Houston was getting some massive rain. So yeah, stay safe down there in Texas. It's good that you're getting water. It's kind of dry down there as well. Stuart LaFond from Vermont. He says, club launch on Sunday, also going to LDRS 42 in June, and can't wait. I wish I was going to LDRS 42. I wish. Launch a rocket for me. Stuart. Alan White is here from Seabrook, Texas. Alfred Indy from East Lansing, Michigan. And we have 3D Printer Guy. And he says, hello, hope everyone is well. Flying a I-297 tomorrow in the UK. The weather is good for once. And I got to note them. Cool. Yeah. I-297. That's going to be fun. We'll have to, if we do a high-power rocket in our live stream, we'll have to put an I-297 in just for fun. All right, I don't got any questions yet, so send in those questions. So this is our archive. So if you come here, you can see what we did in past episodes. Last week, we talked about how composite rocket motors work. We talked about making a body tube transition and how to make a fin where you could stick an Apple AirTag into it. And RockSim engine database updates, how to update those databases, and how to export flight simulation data. And then you can see everything that we've talked about. But if you have a specific question and you're not here at the live stream, if you're watching this recorded, you can come to this page and do a Command F or Control F on Windows, and it will bring up a little search bar up here, and then you can type in a topic. Say you wanted to learn about decals, and so we've talked about decals at least 6 times, and here's one that says how to add decals to your design in RockSim. So that's a quick way to find what we've talked about and see it live. Troy Ermit from Riverton, Utah is here. And David Hayes, he said, in recent episodes you showed a flight log sheet. Where can it be found? Okay, so we got a question. And then 3D Printer Guy said, skid marks are one of my favorite propellant types. Yeah, they're fun. All right, so let's go into RockSim. Where's my RockSim? There's my RockSim. Okay, so David was asked, in recent episodes you showed a flight log sheet. So say you ran a whole number of simulations, and I don't have a lot of simulations. Okay, so here's a flight log sheet of a recommended motor. So there's flight simulations, which are ones that you've done with just one at a time, looking for whatever, a motor that you might want to fly. The recommended motor chart is where RockSim runs all the motors that would fit into the design, and it will tell you if they're recommended or not recommended. Right now I'm just showing all the recommended ones for whatever design this is with the funky looking fins. So if you wanted to export out this, it's pretty simple. Just bring it up on the screen right here and then do a right click with your mouse, and it's going to bring up this menu, and then you'll say export table. So we're not printing, we're exporting a table, and it's going to export the table, and it's going to export it as an Excel format. So it's going to ask you where you want to save it. So I'm going to say desktop and then hit save, and then it saves it to the desktop. And let me open a Finder window here. Come on. New Finder window. Did I click? There it is. And then you go to your desktop, and then you go to the table that we just exported, and it's a .csv format, which is an Excel, comma separated values is what CSV stands for. And it's opening up my spreadsheet program. I don't have Excel. I have on the Macintosh, we use Numbers. Same thing. It's just a spreadsheet program. And as soon as it loads, we'll see it here on the screen. Someone asked me, why is it taking so long? Come on. Must be a big program. Someone asked me, why don't we just print it? And the answer for that is because of printers and how they format things. So you'd think it would format it nice and neat, like over here. But it doesn't. Every printer is different, so formatting is kind of convoluted. So what we did is the next best thing is to export a table, and then you can change, you can change all your fonts really easy, and do whatever you want, make it look pretty so that when you print it out, it looks good. So that's why we chose to export it rather than print it. We did in the past try to print it, and we got all kinds of complaints from people because they couldn't format, my columns, because you can have like 30 columns, and then it's not going to fit on a regular sheet of paper. And then you say, I need to turn it landscape, and it gets hard. So that's why it's exported rather than printed. David Hayes says, wasn't part of RockSim was a separate page on the website. So on our website, interesting. So before I go to David's question, we got a brand new product coming out. This will be next week. It just arrived in today, and it's plywood balsa. So one of the advantages of plywood is they can make it really wide, where balsa, you're limited to the trunk of the tree. And so these are, you can see here, where the wood is glued together to make really wide sheets. And these are going to be 6 inches wide, 18 inches long. But the nice thing about it, this is real plywood. So if you look at the side, it's made out of 3 layers, 1 layer on the top and 1 on the bottom, where the grain goes this way. And then there's a middle layer where the grain goes in and out. And that gives you stiffness in, multiple directions. So it's good for things like, large fins, large wings, where you still need to keep the weight low because it has all the properties of balsa wood. It's easy to cut, it's easy to sand, unlike plywood, which is hard to cut, hard to sand. Even light ply is not as easy as this stuff right here. This is beautiful stuff. It's actually handmade, and they actually have to glue it up. You can see the 3 layers there. Then they have to press it, so they make sure that the glue bonds everywhere. And so this is coming on our website, and we'll have it on Tuesday. We got it in today, so we do have it in stock, but we have to turn it on our website. So this is new stuff. So if you try it out, you gotta let us know how you liked it. Yeah, it's just like balsa wood, but stronger in multiple directions. So getting back to the question, was RockSim part of a separate page? So you're probably thinking of the launch visualizer. Now the launch visualizer, did I click on this? Come on, wakey. There's RockSim, and then there's Launch Visualizer. The Launch Visualizer is the online, in the cloud simulator, and it's at rocksim.com is where you find it. But all this does is simulate the rocket. It doesn't allow you to design a rocket. So if you want to design, you have to either use RockSim or RockSim Pro. But once you've designed it, then you can upload your design into this simulator. And what's cool about this one, it's a 6 degrees of freedom simulator, which means you get a beautiful trajectory. Everything is in 3 dimensions. So let me log in here onto my account. Okay, so now I'm logged in, so it's changed. There used to be the login button up here, and if I click on it, it'll tell me that I'm a premium member and I've got 10,097 credits. And so you'll need 1 credit for every impulse Newton seconds that you're flying. So if you're flying a C engine, that's 10 Newton seconds. So every launch with a C motor is going to be 10 points. So this is 3D, and you can rotate it around. This kind of gives you a perspective of the rocket sitting on the pad. This one is pointed straight up. Then you go down these tabs when you're ready to launch. So our first tab is our launch site, and this is kind of a map of the world. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Right now the default location is Pueblo, Colorado, because that's where we fly rockets. And you can see this is, I'm trying to make it so north is pointed straight up. So here's the compass, and north is straight up. The black arrow points to north. You can see here's Pueblo, Colorado, and the launch site is down there. Here's Colorado Springs, and one of these Apogee components is like right about there. And if we keep zooming out, all these thumbtacks are launch sites around the country. The red ones are the NAR, the blue ones are Tripoli, green ones are personal ones, or sites that people have submitted that are personal to them. And you can see this is a globe. So if you wanted to find a launch site, you could say, oh, I live in Illinois. What are my options for launching here? I got one near St. Louis. There's one in Urbana, something right outside of Chicago, Waukegan. And then if you click on it, it'll tell you the name of the club, and this is the NAR of Quad Cities. So then you come over here and I say, choose a launch site, and I'm going to type in Quad Cities into the search bar. There it is. Now Quad Cities, and then just double click on it or click OK, and it will put the launch site right there. And let's zoom in. See that red circle right there is our launch site. And we can move that launch site. So right now it's still loading the maps, and it looks like, trying to see what's around here. It looks like we got a road coming here. We got some fields there, some really nice fields. Nice green grass. And then you have to choose where on the field you want your launch site. Say, I'm going to launch my rocket right there. So you double click, and it moves the red dot to that new location, and then you say confirm launch site. And so when you do confirm launch site, it updates all the latitude and longitude and the altitude above sea level automatically. So now we have our launch site picked out, and I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can kind of get the lay of the land there. But then you have to say, well, am I going to angle that rocket? And so then you can say, okay, let's angle it like 10 degrees. And this is three dimensions, so you can see that the rocket is now angled. And I'm kind of looking at it from the underside right there. There's not much to see because you're in the ground. That's the view from the casket. You don't want that view. And so you can, change the launch angle. You can change the azimuth direction. So right now we're 10 degrees, but we're pointed to the north. And if you remember that launch site we were looking at, there was a lot of room to the west. So I'm going to spin it around to the west and say I'm going to launch my rocket that way. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to change my weather conditions. I'm going to say, give me a steady wind at 5 miles an hour. Click OK. And then we're going to go pick our rocket motor. And this is just like RockSim. We're going to come down here to choose engine. And let's choose an Estes C6. I don't know, let's go with a 3-second delay. Engine overhang is 0.5 inches. That's how much the engine hangs out the back. And click OK. And then these are my data and the flight events. The flight events are, when's the parachute going to come out? And right now we have it set at maximum ejection delay, which is the 3 seconds after motor burnout. And then finally, let's launch. So just click the launch button, which is underneath my face right now. So I'll just show you that. There's the launch button right there. So you click on that, and then it's going to run the simulation in the cloud. So this is not being run on your computer. It's run on our computer somewhere, wherever the cloud server is. I have no idea. Okay, so there's the rocket sitting on the pad. And remember our launch site was in that field. And now we're pointed the rocket to the west, so let me swing it around so north is at the top of the screen. Oops, I went too far. It always happens. Okay, so north, the black arrow points to the north, and we can see the horizon out there in the distance. And then when you're ready to see the launch, you push the launch button and you'll see the rocket taking off. And you have a larger view, a close-up view of the rocket right down here in the corner. And then this blue smoke is tracking smoke. You can change the color of the smoke so that you can see what your rocket looks like. And now the parachute came out and the rocket's coming down, but it's inside the smoke. David Hayes says, no, he thought that spreadsheet was on our website. Maybe I'm cuckoo. Do we have a flight log sheet? Okay, I think I know what he's talking about. All right, so that's the launch visualizer. You can see the rocket's going to land somewhere over here. You can see a trajectory of the rocket by clicking on the preferences and saying, give me a trajectory. And the extruded flight path is a curtain showing you, where the rocket is over the launch field. So on this particular rocket, we launched right there. And it followed that green line. And the apogee point was right up here. And then the parachute came out and it drifted down, not too far away. It only landed 54 feet away, so not a bad little rocket flight right there. All right, so let's close this. We may come back to it later, who knows. David Hayes said, found it, the flight record sheet. Yeah, okay, so people that don't know what David's talking about, on the Apogee website, if you come up here and you type in flight record, it will bring up this data sheet that will help you track your rocket. And it's got a ton of stuff that you can record. I can't barely see it because it's meant not to be seen, so because we don't want you to copy it, but there's pre-launch information, launch conditions, model rocket information, how many stages it has. There's the launch information, and this is, your angle of launch, the wind, the azimuth angle, which direction you're pointed. And then it's like a checkbox. So you just watch the flight and you go down through the checklist and you say, oh, okay, was the rocket spinning? Yes, it was spinning. Okay, that was great, but was it spinning clockwise or counterclockwise? Did you watch closely enough? So then you just check off the boxes that you've seen happened, and then when you're done, you have a complete flight report of that particular flight. And it's really detailed. I mean, you could read it off, and somebody else like me would completely understand what happened on your flight. It's really good for writing flight reports. It's good for tracking information about a specific rocket that you're interested in. So that's the Apogee flight report. Flight record, I'm sorry. We have 1977 all out. He says, oh, hello. And Rosa from Ottawa is here as well. All right. I don't have any other questions, so bring in your questions. We still got a lot of time here. Let me see. Someone asked me, I had two questions, but they kind of answered themselves. The first one was he wanted to make the Estes Fat Boy, which I think is out of production right now, but they wanted to make it into a two-stage rocket. And they were asking, how do you do that? So first you have to find the RockSim file for it. So what I would suggest is just go to an internet search engine and type in the name of the rocket, Estes Fat Boy RockSim file. And let's see what happens here. Fat Boy, there's a RockSim design file here at rocketreviews.com. And when we get there, okay, so this is what it's going to look like. And it's an RKT file, so that's the RockSim format. So let's download that. And it threw it into my downloads folder. So let me open my downloads folder. Okay, so here's the Estes Fat Boy, and I'm just going to click and drag right in and drop it onto RockSim. It's going to ask me, do I want to save that? And I'm going to say, no, I don't care about that. And so there's that Estes Fat Boy. That's in 2D. This is a side view, and here's the base view, and here's the 3D view. And there's the rocket. And okay, so this little sphere right here is actually a mass object. It's not really part of the nose cone, it's inside the nose cone. But since we don't know what the size is of a mass object, we just put it in there as a sphere. If you want to move it around so it's not so funky looking, go to the rocket design components and then find it. There's the mass object. And double click to open it, and I'll just move it a little bit inside of the rocket right there. So I'm going to click OK, and then when we see the 3D view again, it'll be inside. Okay, so if you were to change this into a two-stage rocket, what would you do? How would you do it? Well, what we're going to need is a coupler, and then another body tube, and then another fins. So to set this up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Rocket Design Attributes tab, and we're going to set the number of stages. Ooh, it's already set to a two-stage rocket. Let's see. Let's see if there is a two-stage attached. Oh, look at that. There is. Somebody's already beat me to it. All right, so this is a two-stage. Man, it's getting hot in this room. I'm gonna have to turn the air on. So I'm gonna be for like 10 seconds as I go and turn the air on. Okay, I'm back. I got the air on. I'm in this room right here is soundproof, so it has extra insulation. So when it gets hot, it really traps the heat in here. It's kind of like a little sauna. So 1977 All Out says it's been a long time since he's been here. So this is a two-stage rocket, and let's go back to a 2D. And what I was going to do was what somebody's already done. Here's the extra body tube, the motor mount, and the extra fins. There should be also a tube coupler here, and let's see if we can find it. So here's the booster stage, and you just click the little arrow there so you can see all the parts. And what we're looking for is a tube coupler. I don't see a tube coupler. So it's like, how does these things stay together? And we would need a tube coupler in there. So I'm going to add a tube coupler to that tube that I just highlighted, and I'm going to say call it a coupler. The thing is, we don't have a lot of room. So this should be a 66 millimeter. Okay, so this blue line, let me change the color. 2D, let's make it red. And 3D, why not? We'll go red as well. And then under the general tab, so now we need to make this shorter, and we need to extend it up into the butt end of the upper stage. So the location, let's call it from the front of the awning part. Let's call it minus 0.5 inches. See what happens. Okay, so 0.5 inches is just a little bit too much. Let's call it 0.4125. Hit the tab. We're still interfering with that aft centering ring. I think we're going to be, no, still not enough. Yeah. .375 inches. Okay, so that works. So where the edge of the coupler is just touching this back centering ring. And then we need to make the length of this shorter because we have to get it to that one right there. So let's make it shorter, and I'm just doing that by adjusting the length. Too short. I usually like my couplers longer, so I can make it up until that line right there. Oh, I changed the location. What did I say that was? 0.4. Nope, I think it was 375. Okay, the length here. Let's call this 0.4. Okay, that's too short, so we can make it longer. 0.75. Okay, that works. But that's a really short coupler, but it will work. Click OK. So that red coupler holds those stages together until it separates. All right. Uh, 1977 All Out says, does the program also work in centimeters instead of inches? And the answer is yes. If you want to change your user preferences, just go to the RockSim preferences. So on the Mac, it's under the RockSim menu. And under Windows, I think preferences are under the file. No, it was not the file. I think it's the edit menu or the help menu. But here on the Mac, it's under RockSim menu. You just click that. Well, I didn't want about. I wanted preferences. Preferences. And then you just go to units, and you can specify your units here. So if you wanted length in centimeters instead of inches, you just select it. What did I do? There it is, yeah, centimeters right there. And then click OK. And that's how easy it is to do it. I didn't change my, yes, I guess I did, because now it's in centimeters. All right, What else did we have to talk about? So that's how you would make this a two-stage rocket. RockSim Pro, I had a question, or an observation actually. So where's my RockSim Pro? So here's RockSim Pro, and it looks very similar to RockSim. The difference is it's got the flight profile that you saw in rocksim.com, and it makes this really, so this allows you to design and simulate all in 3D. So it's the high end for us, and it works really cool. We were going to do an I-297. So here is a katana, and let's put in that I-297, choose engine, and I don't know where the engine is, so I'm going to type in I-297 and hit tab, and it doesn't show me any I-297s. Did I get the right number right? Yeah. Let me just see what's available, and this is a 54 millimeter. We can also show the ones that are smaller, and then go here to engine code, and we're sorting by engine code. So now I'm going to go down to an I. There's GH. Okay, we're in the I-284s. There it is, I-297SK, skid mark, and we'll do a, let's call it 13-second delay. Click OK. So it loaded the engine under flight events. It says dual deployment, so I can set it up as a dual deployment. This is the katana. So let's do the Apogee, the 48, which is the bigger parachute. Let's set that one at 300 feet, and the drogue chute will deploy at Apogee. So this one's going to come out first, and it's deployed at Apogee. Then this one, it has to reach Apogee and then be coming down until the altitude is less than, and you got to make sure you get that less than there. It's just a little drop down. So less than 300 feet, then this big parachute's going to open. So then when I go to the flight profile, it's running the simulation. And it only went about 2,000 feet. Oh, nope, 3,100. And then it's going to load in the launch visualizer. Now, RockSim Pro, the current version is version 3, and what I'm running here is version 4. And the difference in version 4 is it has all the new features that we just released in version 11 of RockSim. So there's a bunch of new features available there, but we haven't released version 4 yet because we weren't able to get the maps loading, but we fixed that. So now we also fixed a few other bugs that we noticed, and we wanted to get all those bug fixes in there before we ship it out to customers. So here's a different launch site, but our rocket is sitting on the pad, and let's launch it, and the rocket's taking off. You can see it moving against the background. Getting to our altitude, I think it was 31 something feet. Okay, now it's starting to come down again, and the parachute popped out. Let's pause it right here and zoom in on our rocket. So we have a small yellow parachute that's open. And then if we continue letting it come down, this is going to stay in the air about 65 seconds. So you can see it's coming down. And if you can't wait, you can speed it along. see what you got. Okay, so when we were below 300 feet, the big parachute popped out, and that's where this dog leg is right here. That's where the big parachute popped out. And let's turn this to the side. There's the characteristic dog leg that indicates a dual deployment flight. Oop, we're getting behind the mountain. I chose this launch site. It's one of the NARS clubs that's way out on the western side of Colorado. I like it because it's got mountains on both sides. It just looks pretty. I've never launched a real rocket there, but I would love to. All right. All right, 1977 All Out says that he wants to really get back into building rockets again. Yes, you got to be doing that. What was I going to show you now? Okay, so that's the launch visualizer inside of RockSim Pro. You can see that trajectory there of the rocket taking off on a skid mark, an I-297. And if we hit end, it should take us back to the main screen, which will tell us the exact height this rocket reached. 17 feet. Pretty high. Pretty nice flight. All right. Man, oh man. What are we going to do next? I haven't had a lot of questions yet. I'm still waiting. Yeah, so I said this is RockSim version, RockSim Pro version 4. We're going to try to release this one as soon as possible. I'm testing it right now as we speak. So if it passes the test and nothing happens, then we'll release it. And we'll also have soon a bug fix release for RockSim 11. There was some bugs that we saw a couple weeks ago, like when you were attaching a fin on a fin. So let me see if I got a rocket like this. Tip fin experiments. Am I changing? No. Okay, so here's a rocket that I was designing some crazy fin shapes, and I wanted to make sure that everything stayed where it was supposed to stay. So there is the rocket in 2D, and that's a side view traditional. This is a top view, base view, top view. I put the fins on this one at the tip of the nose. And I've also canted them because I wanted to see what they would look like. So let's see that in 3D. Oops, I'm pushing it. Come on, I'm trying to spin it. There we go. So these fins here at the front, these green ones, are canted fins. All right. So that's what that looks like. Yeah, so I was testing things in here because before, when we'd move things around, some of the parts didn't move quite the way we wanted them to. So, like for example, if I move this pod, do the parts go with it? Let me see, automatically. There we go. Yeah, look at that pod. Now it's no longer on the fin, but everything moved the way I had expected it to. Very, very interesting. Okay, so that worked. check that one off the list. All right. So yeah, that's what we're working on now, is just getting these bug fixes fixed so that we can release that new version. Yeah, so I'm just trying it out. And if you want to see something, let me know, and I can show you what I'm, if you saw a bug before. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, we had some bugs that we were able to do, but now I can't remember what the bugs were. But I know they had to do with pods and fins attached to pods. And this is a pretty complex design, and it seems to work. So that's always good. Save my changes? No. Let's see. We got this rocket. We have 2 engine mounts. Let's see what happens when we fly it. I don't know what's going to happen. Typically, RockSim assumes that all the engines are on the thrust line. These are definitely not on the thrust line. We've got to select engines or tubes to be engine mount tubes. I know this is a tube here. Come on, where's all my engine tubes? There's one, pod engine tube. Okay, it says an 18 millimeter. Let's load an engine. Let's do it a C12 just in case. High thrust, low burn time. So we put that in there. Click OK. Click OK. And where is the other fin set? Let's try this one. Centering ring engine pod tube. Yep, that one. Double click on that, open it up, and so we're going to be putting an engine in there. And let's load an engine in there. I can't remember what we used before. Let's use a C5. And let's call it plugged. I don't need an ejection charge. Okay, so we have 2 engines that are off the side of the rocket. Let's click OK and run a simulation. I wonder if this is going to arc over like this, smack itself into the ground. That's what I would expect. But you never know. With, fins that are canted, it could spin and do something crazy. Okay, so we're going to prepare for launch. C5. This is a real high thrust mode with the C12, so we're going to put that one as a short delay. 6 on that one. On the C5, let's choose a 5-second. Custom. 5 seconds, use that. Okay, so flight events. There is no flight events because there's no streamer or parachute in this. And the launch guide is going to be 98 inches. We're going to launch it straight up. 8-mile-an-hour wind coming out of the west. And we go to flight profile. Let's see what happens. Still no questions. What are you guys doing? No questions. All right, so there's my rocket sitting on the pad. There's nothing in the core, just those tip fins. And let's launch it and see what happens. Oh, it's spinning around, but it's doing straight. Cool. Still spinning, still spinning. Now it's kind of wobbling around like this. There's no parachute, so it's going to smack the ground. And I guess we're at 500 feet, or the distance to the pad was 500 feet. Our altitude right now is at 900 feet. Dropping. When it gets down to 0, I'll hit the ground. Let's pause it right here. And let's see a trajectory view. Whoa. I am falling asleep today. Whew. Wow, look at that. Look at that. It didn't coming down, looked like it was doing some corkscrewing. Look at that. That is cool. So, woo. Let's see what it looks like from this view. So the rocket takes off. It's getting near the top. It's going to start arcing over. It's not even arcing over. There it is. Now it's kind of processing really bad. Now it's just going crazy. We're looking at it from the top down. Red path is along the ground. The flight path is the green one. That's funny. That's funny. I like that one. Okay, we got no more questions. We haven't really discussed anything like hard today. So what did we discuss today? We talked about skid marks, the flight record sheet, talked about what the difference between the launch visualizer is and regular RockSim. Yeah. Not a whole lot of topics today. You guys, we talked about converting a fat boy into a 2-stage rocket. Yeah. It's been kind of quiet, you guys. I think we're going to call it early this week because I'm not getting any questions and I'm kind of dragging myself. Take a sip of water. All right, so like I said, next week is the start of Memorial Day weekend. And I'm hoping to be here because the launch doesn't start till Saturday. So if I'm still around, I'll be here. If not, then we'll probably cancel it and then just wait till the next week to have one of these RockSim Lives. So, Arc Bolter. Oh, the last second question. He asks, how big is your new Nike Hercules kit going to be? What's the motor mount size? Let's see, do I have a picture of that I can show you? Let me check, because if I do, I'll show you a picture. So it's going to be based on our new 3-inch nose cone. So it's the upper part of the Nike Hercules is 3 inches in diameter. And the bottom part is based on BT60 tubes. And it's pretty close to scale. It's not quite perfect. I'm looking through and see if I got any photos that I can show you. We launched it, the last time we launched it was a few weekends ago. And it flew beautifully. In spite of having a KO. I'm looking to see if I got photos. I'm not finding any photos. Let me search one more place. I like this kit. It's going to be a fun one. I'm looking. I'm not finding anything. Here's what a real Nike Hercules looks like in real life. Come on, open up. And then I gotta switch back to my desktop screen. Okay, desktop. Okay, so here is the base of a real Nike Hercules. It's got 4 Nike motors, these massive fins, and then here's the full stack. And so our kit will look like this, obviously with not the rust on it, but it's going to be a 3-inch diameter nose cone. And then it's got a very short tube, and then there's a tail cone that goes here as well, that goes inside this coupler. And this is a very odd coupler because you're going from 4 tubes on the bottom to a single one at the top. And we're getting this part injection molded so that it's nice and strong and you'll last. This is going to be a skill level 5 kit. So one of the decisions we made this week was these are going to be built up fins. Originally we were planning on just regular balsa wood fins that you have to sand in the airfoil, but then we decided it'd be cheaper and easier to make it out of built up. So you can see this line right there. That is kind of like the high point of the fin. So that's the fattest part, and then it gets skinny to here to the back, and it gets skinny to here to the front. So it's going to have paper skins, not like cardstock fins. And we're going to print these on paper, and we decided we're going to put all the little rivet heads on there too. So you get those little rivets, all those little dots. Yeah, and so it's going to separate the nose cone. You can kind of see right here is the base of the nose cone. So ours will separate right there. So part of the fins will be on the top, part of them will be on the bottom. And yeah, it's going to be a fun kit. It's going to be skill level 5, so you're going to have to do, some building, but it's going to be worth the effort. And I'll probably do a build series of videos like I normally do on our hard rockets, just because this is going to be a little bit harder, but it was impressive. And it's and it is a 2-stage rocket. And the upper stage will use electronics to stage it. So we launched it on 4 Estes E16s in the bottom part. And I forget what we put in the top. I think it was like an F67. But, it's a little bit more versatile on the top because it's just one motor. And yeah, like I said, it flew awesome. Even though one motor blew up, it still got it up in the air, and it's still with the electronic staging. Even though it didn't get as high as we wanted it to, it's still staged because the electronics were able to pick up that separation, and it started to count down, and it staged just fine. So 29 millimeters in both the bottom stage and the top stage. So the bottom stage is a cluster of, you can either do it as a cluster of 4, or you can do 2, that are on the diagonals. So you have a choice. You don't have to fly it with 4. 2 is going to be fine. You can use 2 composite motors, and that's, better than an Estes motor anyway as far as thrust goes. All right, very good question. Okay, so skip back to the screen, and so now, again, we might be here next week, we might not. So we're gonna launch this weekend. I hope you get to launch something too. So I'm gonna give you a countdown, and then we'll leave. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go out and launch something.